Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, Velocities in Music, the best kept secret in music reviews. Today, we're going to review, we rarely do electronic albums.
Yeah,
That's
true.
actually not true. We do electronic albums all the time. Just not dance albums.
True.
And today we're going to do a dance album from a British, or English, UK, from that part of the world, duo, Pet Shop Boys. They make electronic dance music, which is the best kind of dance music. And these guys actually got their start, performing in pet shops, apparently, because that's where it sounds, And if you've never listened to Pet Shop Boys before, you might think it's nothing but, like dog and cat noises.
It's really not.
It's not.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised the beats were not considered like dog bark.
Well, 12 albums worth of that might make for a pretty
Yes.
stale career.
Yes.
Let's just get that out there.
So these guys Pet Shop Boys are all about just really big, really fun, really turned up to 11 electronic dance music. And to tell you the truth, Tom and I are of the mindset that we really don't get into dance music in the album format a lot. Anyone can enjoy dance music here and there, but when you try to put a whole bunch of dance music onto an album, it's really kind of difficult to make a good album out of it, just because, it's a lot of repetitive beats and things like that. And I actually think Pet Shop Boys are quite advanced in their songwriting tactics, and that's what has made them so successful.
Yeah.
These guys actually came out with an album last year in 2012 called Elysium. I think that's how you pronounce it. And actually, Electric is kind of seen as a return to form for the band, or the duo, going back to more of their just solid dance roots.
Yeah, and the songwriting is really what bolsters all of that up. Now, at the same time, this is only a 9-track album. The tracks tend to be a little long. I don't know if there's any under... Okay, there's one song under 4 minutes, but they generally tend to be in the 5 to 6 minute range. And generally, I wouldn't like that as much, but I think they do a lot of things to mix it up.
Yeah, they do.
Within the songs, there are a lot of cool kind of interlude portions and everything, but it's still geared towards that dance sound. They bring the dynamics down sometimes, but it's still something that you can really move to. And part of what helps with that, now you mentioned it really being pushed to 11, and that's like the first thing I noticed, because you got to understand, a lot of the music listening that Jake and I do is while we're at work. We have our headphones on.
Matching pairs.
Yes, true.
Matching pairs.
True. We have our headphones on. We've got our computer's volumes usually set to a pretty consistent level so that we can judge album to album somewhat fairly and have that reference point. But I gotta say, I had to turn this a significant notch down from what I usually listen to music at, because this is just so compressed. It's mastered and produced to be so loud, and so you can tell that they were really just going for that. I don't want to say overblown, because it's not to the point where things are distorted and unclean.
Right.
It's more just that they were really going for that in-your-face dance experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of like that, to tell you the truth. I think that turning up, over compressing it and just making it loud to begin with, I think that gives it an edge, and it makes me, it's kind of like how a commercial is turned up very loud, and it just makes you pay attention. And it kind of made me pay attention to dance music that it kind of has, whenever you have dance music with big solid beats, Pet Shop Boys have been doing this for a long time, but there's lots of other artists out there in this genre who do similar things. It kind of all blends together. And this is one way that they're doing a very creative approach of being able to separate themselves from the pack and bring your listening experience into what's really important, which is what Pet Shop Boys do so well, and that's creating these catchy ass hooks. Yeah. Whether it's in the synths or other electronic melodies that they're constructing, or just simply in the vocals. I felt like the hooks on this album are just top notch. Specifically, the vocal hook in track 2, Bolshi, is just fantastic. I can't get it out of my head. And there was many times on this album where whatever electronic melody was going on, or whatever vocal part was going on, I really felt stood out as a really strong piece of music, and it got me more into it. It definitely made the listening experience a much more fun, memorable one.
And also another thing, along with the vocals, that we don't talk about with dance music a whole lot is the lyrics.
Right.
And I actually enjoyed the lyrics on this album. I thought they were kind of cheeky, kind of fun. You still have kind of that typical club content of, why do this when I could go dance instead? Sure. I want to know you're going to stay for the weekend. Right. That kind of fun stuff that you can kind of expect. But
kind of has like a Prozac vibe to it almost.
Yes, absolutely. But also, what other album are you going to hear words like oligarch and schadenfreude? So they really make an interesting persona, because I think the persona presented on most dance albums tends to get just a little boring, a little contrived. I always felt that this was fairly genuine, and I really got a sense of their humor and also just the general attitude towards life and music. And what more can you ask for from an album when they're able to present that side of themselves?
Yeah, and another thing that I loved about this album was the kind of how it was put together, the flow of it. I really like how they open it up with track 1, Axis, where you have this almost like trippy, moody experience going on, and then the song kind of develops out of that. But then later on in track 7, Shouting in the Evening, I feel like that song did a really good job of providing just a really stark contrast to the rest of the album. The album trails off a little bit after that, and I really do feel like the bulk of the super high quality songs, or at least my favorite tracks, were at the beginning of the album, where the album kind of slumped off towards the middle to end sections, but overall I would say it's a very minor slump off.
It's as far as the quality of songwriting goes, I don't think it does slump off a little bit. It doesn't just tank, but more than anything, I think that if you picked any one of these songs out, they'd be all right on their own. But all of them together made for a little bit of an underwhelming experience for me. I'm always looking for a little more, especially and keep in mind, if you guys have watched the show a lot, you know that this probably this isn't my style per se. I do enjoy it, but it's not something that I really get into. I listen to the songwriting, that's what I listen for. I listen for the sound, and I can appreciate that. But at the same time, especially when albums like Daft Punk's Random Access Memories, which is in the kind of the dance area, came out earlier in the year, and I thought that just knocked it out of the park. I did enjoy this one, but altogether I didn't find it overly exciting, but I did think it was very well executed.
What'd you give it?
I'm going to give it a 74.
Okay, a little higher than you. I'm going to go 77. Overall, I just felt like the high energy, the good songwriting. It was just a good, interesting, and thought-provoking experience. I thought it was just a solid album overall. I wish that there was a little bit more originality there. Maybe found a way to infuse a few more ideas into it. Would have brightened it up a bit and made it a more engaging listen overall, especially on that back half. What did you guys think about Electric? This is also the second album entitled Electric that we've reviewed this year.
Richard Thompson.
I know. I feel like there's going to be more. I feel like there's going to be just a slew of Electrics.
My head would explode.
I couldn't handle it. Please leave us a comment about your thoughts of Pet Shop Boys' new one, Electric, at www.velocitiesandmusic.com or youtube.com/velocitiesandmusic. As always, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and please send us a comment letting us know what albums from 2013 you'd like to see us review. I'm Jake.
I'm Tom.
And we are VIMTV, moving music critique forward.
Where you lead, my heart will go.